Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. For those of you who haven't seen these videos before, welcome. And welcome back if you have. My intention is always benevolence for all in alignment with the highest levels of love, light, and unity consciousness. And I'm just going to go into a little flow and see kind of where this goes in this particular video. I just finally updated my blog a few days ago, so if you haven't checked that out, you're into reading certain messages instead of just watching videos, you're more than welcome to read that. I don't think it's that long. And I have so much more that I need to type up, and I'm just kind of getting caught up with all of that. I just did 2 videos. They're a little dark and hard to see, so apologies on that. And a little long and drawn out, especially the one about the Starseed lightbody. And I just want to give a recap on that video. It's about a half hour long. I'm going to give you the short version. And I just want to say that the starseeds are creating a light body that is essentially harmonizing and connecting with one another. And as we do this, it really creates a new architecture for the reality that we are all existing in. And that's the easiest version of what's going on. I did a little diagram and showed some pictures of what it looked like to me. It looks like a light body. It looks like a crystal lattice work. And I just wanted to share that the communities that we're creating within YouTube and Instagram and everywhere, we're really linking up. We really are vibrating and pinging off of one another. So I find myself, when I watch other Starseed videos, I'm inspired. Even though I'm doing my own thing, I'm inspired by what they're sharing. And it pings, it's like a ping, and then it sends me into a flow, a different direction. And it's really cool and really fun. So it's important to follow your bliss and follow the videos and the articles and things that you're inspired to read, because those are ways that we are essentially finding our creativity or keeping us open and expansive, I guess is the right way to say it. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And so for all of the beings that are in doing all of this work with me and with one another, I would like to say thank you. So I'm going to go into a little bit of flow right now. I'm also being guided to share that once you start looking at these communities, we start to recognize that we're not alone, that we are all in this creative space together, and the things that we think, it's a little bit of we're not the only ones doing this. We have our own little special uniqueness about what we do, but we are connecting with brothers and sisters of our true heritage, our soul brothers and sisters. So just wanted to say that. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just kind of get nice and long, spine long. You can be laying down or seated if you wish, and breathing. And as we hold space for one another, we come into an arrangement, so to speak. We come into an alignment, an agreement with one another to assist one another in this transition that we are all experiencing together. As we spin the fields with our light language, with our artwork, with our frequency bands, in whatever expression it is we choose to bring to the table. Guys, this is a spin-off on the video that I just did about the taste the colors of the rainbow. All of us starseed skittles. They're showing a record, and it's like we're spinning the record, and I'm hearing took the record and looped it. So it's kind of like we're going back over some of the records, and we are overlaying over these records and essentially combining this information so that some of the information that was perhaps scratched, and this is a big play on words, so I'm just going to go back into, I'm hearing we're just scratching the surface. And essentially we're scratching the records in a positive way, because we're basically saying, no, this is no longer how we choose to listen to music. This is no longer what we choose to listen to. These are no longer the radio waves that we choose to tune into. We choose to tune into one another. We choose to tune into our true frequency of divine heritage, of divine sovereignty, of the light that is within all of us. And as we reach out and we connect with one another, I'm seeing like that we are Groot. If you guys haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, how they could only handle the infinite, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, great movie. But they can only handle the Infinity Stone when they hold on together, which I never quite understood in the past, in the Marvel comics down the road, like with Iron Man. Why didn't they all group up and hold that Infinity Stone? Anyways, maybe there's an answer to that. It doesn't matter. The point is that we're all grouping up, and in doing this, we're directing the flow of energy, so to speak, in a more upward motion, in a more cohesive bandwidth and patterning that allows more people to then link in with us. So I'm seeing people like picture Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm seeing starseeds that are all linking up together. I've shared some of them with you guys. We're all sharing each other's work. Essentially, we're all holding hands, and it's like I'm seeing these people who were nervous or scared or didn't know what was going on, and they're kind of like, should I grasp this bandwidth as well? And essentially what that does is that lights them up to then find their own special color of the rainbow, so to speak. And that is, in essence, what we came here to do. We came here to allow this growth and expansion to take place, to assist in this formation of this new light body, so to speak, this new body of light, this new co-collaboration of creative conduits, currency, a new value system. And we value one another and uplift one another in this crystallization structure, in this formal, I'm hearing this formality, in this arrangement, in this agreement. So we're forming new agreements, basically, based on the law of one frequency of coming together. And I'm seeing a crystal lattice work structure. So obviously this is going to be a little redundant. I don't have my pause button. So before I move on, I drew this picture of the heart being the all-seeing eye. I don't know if I deleted the video on accident. I can't find it. But I was basically saying that we're in a process of using our heart as our vision system. And so what I'm also seeing, though, is all of us, just picture all like a bunch of Skittles as light seeds, star seeds. And you've got this over here, and pretend they're all different colors, right? And we're essentially connecting. And then this person connects here. And so we're creating all of this lattice work that looks to me like a light body. It's a new architecture. And then within those sub-architectures, there's a name for it. I can't think of the name for it, but it's like where a junction, we'll say. And let's say I'm one junction. I'm holding together the network for other communities to anchor in. That junction, I'm holding certain bandwidths and frequencies, as well as another starseed is holding their own bandwidths and frequencies. And as we all hold hands and connect and light up, then my bandwidths and frequencies can stir the DNA or the memories or certain, what they're showing me are sparks. Like I'm sparking it up in other people. And that is a domino effect. And so we're all holding these lines, and while another starseed over who's doing crystal work is sparking that up, I'm sparking up, the diamond and the whatever frequencies I'm drawing with, the emerald frequencies, and what I'm drawn to. My I'm really big into star sapphire, so I'm bringing those to the table, and so on and so forth. In addition to crystalled frequencies, right? This higher crystalline frequency base that I'm harmonizing within my structure is then essentially charging up, whether it be a small spark or a fire in someone else. That's what we're doing. And so as we hold these bands and bandwidths together and support one another in this community and network, this is spreading like a wildfire. And so I was asking a little bit about the moon energies because I'm recording this on the full moon. And the animal that he kept coming through was frog. Frog clan is also associated with woodpecker and cougar or puma. Mountain lion are some of the animals. We could even tie it in a little bit with panther, so the big cats. And we just had some major Lyran feline frequencies coming through with the Lion's Gate portal. And the frog clan was associated with me because of my birth year and birth date. And I learned about this many years ago because what interested me in this beginning work was the Native American teachings, all kinds of Native American teachings. I couldn't get enough of them when I was a kid, and I was very drawn to my own roots. Now, the reason I share this is it led me to a book that led me to reading about the frog clan, and I was like, ooh, the frog clan. I'm not a frog person, but frogs are there's so many species of frogs, and they all hold within them certain things. Like some of them have, and they all have like a certain defense system. But frog represents the ability to exist in two worlds, as do many of the spirit animals. But a frog is of the water, of the air, and of the land. They jump, they are tadpoles, they're on the earth, and so it's living and walking in between two worlds. So what I'm seeing in representation to some, and I'll post this on Instagram if I get time, if I make the time, right? Cancel here, delete that. I have plenty of time. There is no time. But what I'm seeing, the tying in of this and the representation is that we're in the process of cleansing out what no longer suits us. And one of the belief systems that they want me to tie in with this is the full moon controlling us. We are not controlled by the planets. They are merely a guidance and mapping system. Guess I'm in flow right now. To help lead us in a certain direction or course of action or synchronicities that then spark knowledge and knowing within us. So we know that around the time of the full moon, our tides on Earth are affected. Our body is, 70% water. So it's really important. What are we telling? So water holds memory. So if we have this upwelling of water, our tide is surging, of course, it's going to feel a little less grounded and anchored and earthy, right? But it's that ability to be able to walk between those two worlds and anchor the energies that maybe are coming in through some of the astrological alignments, but also a lot of what's happening within our DNA structure and architecture. So what they're sharing is also that water holds memory. So around the time of the full moon, what are we telling ourselves? What belief systems are we still anchoring ourselves to? And essentially, what are we sending into our body? Are we telling our body, I love you? Are we allowing ourselves forgiveness for some of the things that we feel we could have done differently? What energies are we flushing through our system, essentially that our body is going to remember? So that's one of the messages that's coming through. Frog represents, among many different things that I just mentioned, cleansing and purification. Now, interestingly enough, though, a frog is also, think about the frogs, and like the Amazons used to use frogs because of their poison. They have a very powerful defense system. And I want to reframe that word just a bit and call it boundaries. Animals know not to mess with certain frogs because of the colors that they send out. And if we are becoming our own Skittles, our own rainbow, our own flavor of our self-expression, the question then becomes, what colors are we projecting? Are we letting people know we don't stand for this. This is not the boundaries that I wish to operate from. You're in my space and I honor you for your decision, but that isn't my decision. I could go on and on about that. So I'm seeing that as one of the other messages that is coming through. Also, cleansing and purification. So if you do find that there are certain structures or belief systems that you're holding within your body, that you're holding within your community, which is your body, light body, your memory, your family, friend, and working dynamics, it's time to cleanse and purify. Whatever that is, that essentially is no longer in attunement with what you're holding now. So drink plenty of water, flush out those toxins, and allow your own sparkle to shine. Don't be afraid to take that leap, right? If it's something that is necessary in your life to essentially allow these activations, downloads, and messages to come through from your higher guidance team. I'm not going to go into woodpecker and puma or those other animals into too much detail, other than this is a cycle, this is a rhythm. Woodpecker is all about paying attention to your cycles and rhythms. I'm bringing them up because they're associated with the frog clan, but I'm also bringing them up because synchronicity. I never did my new synchronicity video, so I want to talk about that briefly. We have a lot of synchronicities. Like, I didn't know it was a frog moon. I hadn't even looked up the full moon stuff. Haven't really been watching or reading a lot of other people's things unless I'm really guided to go into that one particular subject. And through a post that somebody had posted about the moon being in Aquarius, which I'll get to maybe in this particular transmission, it was the frog moon, which I thought was funny because 4 days ago, whenever I was doing light language outside, I would hear frogs. And most of the time I hear a frog at night if it's been raining a lot, but these were out during the day. And then a woodpecker came into my backyard and was also pecking on my neighbor's house right next to me. And that doesn't happen all the time either. It was pretty, and he was yelling like in my backyard, in my tree, right when I was sitting right there on the patio working and doing writings. So it's our animals, our guides can take form in any shape or form. And synchronicity can show up in our lives in infinite ways. So are we paying attention? Are we hearing the rhythm? Are we hearing the frog make its noise and think, oh, that's interesting? And then sure enough, it was, the frog moon, cleanse, purify, water, balance, rhythm, so on and so forth, in alignment with being leadership, which cougar, mountain lion, puma represent leadership, divine feminine, as well as well, a lot of other things. I won't get into panther because that kind of takes us into a different direction. But obviously, they're the same family. So there is an essence of power and magic and things associated with the panther. But this was in alignment with the Lyran and the feline frequencies coming through that lion's gate portal. So I just wanted to kind of tie that all in together and to show that we're constantly getting signs and signals. It's just a matter of paying attention. So taking a nice deep breath in and allowing a cleansing and clearing breath to move through the body. As we link up through these messages, as we link up through these portals, as we link up through these stellar alignments, they're kind of guiding me to talk about. I posted something on Instagram because I was seeing a lot going on with the sun yesterday. And so had a few other people, as it turns out. So there's things going on too, that it's not just about the moon. The moon controls the tides and the waters. It's about the sun. So remembering that the sun is that balance. If we're feeling pulled in one direction because we're really honed in on those lunar energies, get out in the sun. And if you don't have that ability to be in the sun, earth and ground, get with plants, get in the water, because the sun is powering the earth and the water. The sun is sending that energy, and you can draw it up from the earth if that's your only option. We invite you to feel more of the alignments that are being offered and to recognize that it isn't just one portal. They're showing me a triangle with, so I knew I should have recorded this on Zoom so I could pause it. I hope I recorded this yesterday or didn't delete it. Oh well, right if I did. Okay. So they're showing me that it looks like this. Think of these as portals. I'm just drawing here. I don't really know what I'm drawing yet. Sun. Okay. You guys, toning changes the vibration. It ups the vibration. It allows the vocal cords to open. It's not just about the vocal cords. It's about opening this throat chakra or energy center, if you will, to connect in with the heart, the crown, the pineal, everything. And to basically, again, it's like a portal for truth. I just wanted to touch on that briefly. So that's why toning affects the body and changes the frequency and assists when we're oftentimes light workers are channeling or sharing music or whatever it might be, sharing frequencies. So we set the spin in the Akash for in this remembrance. There are portals linking up with networks that are in alignment with your, I'm trying to think of the word here because they're showing me a picture, but star alignments, with your memory complex, with your architecture, with your blueprints and mapping systems. And while all of this is connecting in and together into your library, so to speak, of recognition, your records of recognition are being resurfaced, are being updated, are being linked in and spun in order to, I'm showing these records spinning. It's kind of in reference to what I said in the beginning of this video about the records. There's like a lot of play on words here, but it's like these records are being accessed, they're being ignited, they're being spun, and it's like the dust is kind of flying off and letting the dust settle. And as we do this, it creates a new spin on some of the memories that were maybe associated with circumstances that were less than ideal. We are now activating a higher frequency or a higher domain, if you will. So they're kind of doing this. This is a play on words as well. Platform that we're existing from, but also a domain, like when you link your computer into a certain domain. Like the old domain was on an old platform, and the words that were being used in that recording were not of the, they were showing that they were more of the lunar light, that lunar variation. And we are now tapping more into the records of the sun, into the discs, so to speak, the CDs that are associated with the sun and the portals and the frequencies being beamed in through your own recognition. There's a lot going on here that I'm just not going to put into words. Depending on where you are when you're listening to this, you'll see different things or feel different things possibly about this. We are igniting, the guidance teams, right, are igniting within these solar record speakers, so to speak. So they're showing like the sun and these discs, and then people speaking the information that is being revealed, or they're showing me these rainbow discs, like a CD in the light. And then as this is spun, there's certain information that is being accessed from these discs. And more of our light worker, grid worker teams are teaming up. And I'm hearing it's like the numbers are teaming. There's like a lot going on to share this information in record time. So they're sharing that this is coming from different timelines. This is coming from different history, so to speak. And it's like we're re-recording certain events. Okay, so it's a double meaning here, triple meaning. We're re-recording some events in history that we have actually been able to go back and change isn't the word they want to use, but you could look at it that way. But they're also saying deciphering from a different format. So it's almost like, let's say there was a piece of information on a CD and it was scratched out. Well, now those CDs are being revealed and they're like, oh, here's another one. This is what really happened. So it's like the history is being cleansed of some of the scratchiness, and it's being processed through the light workers so that we A, know what our real history is, B, have some corrections made to the distortions that were laid out before about our knowledge, our sacred knowledge, but also rewriting it a little bit. So if you're not familiar with multidimensionality and time travel and all of that, that's a whole other thing. But that's not my cup of tea, we'll say, right now. I'm hearing, I'm a little teapot, short and stout, which is true. That we're just pouring forth all of this knowledge is teeming from us. And we are essentially, it's like this golden time, this golden period for those with eyes to see, and those with ears to hear, and those with cords to speak. And as we reach out through these spaces, if you will, again, I kind of see this reference. I'm seeing like beautiful geometry. Oh, I didn't even realize I was drawing a pyramid there, but I kind of was. I don't know if that's really what they were showing me, but, and then a portal over here to another portal, to another portal. Something geometric. They're saying the glass case has been broken. And this isn't a bad thing. I'm kind of seeing like the Truman movie, the Truman story, where he's living in this bubble. And they're kind of showing me that that bubble's like been broken. So we are starting to see past it through these cracks in the architecture. The light is seeping and shining through. And it's like these discs are able to then come through as well. So we invite you to beam up, like beam me up, Scotty. We invite you to go within so that you may anchor the frequencies that are being offered if you choose to do so, if you choose to connect with these frequencies. For you are receiving constant downloads and activations in a bombardment, so to speak, because the body is ready. The body is ready to make the shifts and changes that we came here to embody. And the more that we allow ourselves to flow in these new energies and not be held back by our perception of what reality should be, or what we have been taught, told, or directed in what and how it should be, or how we should be operating in this reality. For as we set our new value systems, as we connect with each other and create value systems within our light worker community, in sharing, in compassion, in working together and exchange of services, we recognize that this is the way that it is, that it should be, that all has been before. They're showing me the history that was deleted in one version and one example, one piece of the puzzle. And as we do this, we attune ourselves to the knowing that we are in abundance, that the abundance that we see as fleeting is really a construct that is starting to crumble, that is starting to fall away. And we are starting to see basically the light at the end of the tunnel, and recognizing that much of the structure that we were held in before, or this glass house, so to speak, is no longer able to hold the light of our soul, is no longer able to hold the light of our knowingness and who we really are. So as we allow this to crumble away, and we do not trouble ourselves, so to speak, with hanging on to past articles, unable to articulate within those particular frequencies any longer. This is part of they're showing me like growing pains. They're showing me that it's part of it'll be uncomfortable for some people. Some people are obviously already welcoming it, but what they're showing is this like plate tectonics. It's like there has to be some cracks and a spreading out in order for this to essentially then lock in. But they showed me this in a video. I didn't video it, I recorded it. And they had shown me our DNA. So they're kind of showing me several different things here. So if you think of, let's say, at plate tectonics, what they're kind of showing is like these are, let's say, right? So they spread out, right? So, and then come together. But we're making room for more. So now we're coming in and filling in this new gap so that it can be less jagged, right? Pieces of the puzzle. What they also showed me, and I didn't go into too much depth on this, and I'll just touch on this briefly. I was seeing last week these lines with these like proteins on them, and they were clinking together. And essentially what happens is let's think of it as a DNA helix or a spiral. And this is not exact. This is representative of many different things. But the easiest way for me to explain it in a quick version is they were showing me that like this was then dissolving, or not dissolving, but they would show me it breaking off. And then what would happen is a different one comes in. So it would be like, this is A, and this, I think this was A also, but it's a different version of it, was then linking in. So now once it linked in, it looked like this in our DNA, but also proteins, but also something else that's very multidimensional that I have no concept in a linear fashion, that's literally has to yet, I'm going to go into perhaps in more detail, but this had to do with sound, spheres of energy, and just being attached in this beautiful line of creation. So what happens is we're creating space, and everything is in the process of spacing apart so that we can kind of come in and provide the puzzle link in many different arenas. So while this is, let's say, a molecular level, a protein level, a DNA level, this is also going on symbolically in a politics and science and other things, as well as like in science, they're kind of sharing that, all right, so this was pretend that this was the way it was, and let's say this was Newton's theories, right? Newton, and that kind of is now, okay, this wasn't 100%, but this new version of these other physicists and scientists are going to come in and lock this in, and all of a sudden this is going to now take on a whole new vibration, and we all of a sudden have answers to things that before were not accessible. We have ability to metamorphosis in ways that we were not necessarily able to hold it before because the patterns didn't line up. And we didn't have enough space to grow because of this glass house or glass structure that we were like stuck in. They're showing me like we were expanding. We were like, how do we get out of this bubble? I can see kind of, but I can't get through. So we invite you to expand. We invite you to broaden your bandwidth. We invite you to broaden your bandwidths with one another, to share in the music of your co-creation, to share in the harmonies and the music that the earth is providing. For she is speaking to yourselves in ways that you may not even comprehend. And as you I'm going to have to write this all down for blog format, but as you do this, you're able then to connect in to so much more. They're showing me the elementals. They're showing me like so many parts of the earth, like the fairy and the elementals and animals and all kinds of things that maybe like Snow White. They're kind of showing me Snow White. Like she talked to all of the animals, and Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, she did too. And but also our guides. It's opening as long as we kind of allow ourselves to give us space. Take that time to meditate. Take that time to eat healthy and drink plenty of water. If that time is only 10 minutes, then so be it. It's better than zero. And recognizing that our whole concept of time is also shifting. And I kind of talked about that in my blog, kind of. In a very inflow style. So they're inviting us now just to be present with ourselves and to recognize that as we shift and grow, as these growing pains may come up, these things that are needing to cleanse from our life that are no longer fitting, they don't fit our puzzle anymore. They are jagged, or they are too much of something that we no longer resonate with. It's okay to allow those pieces to melt away, so to speak, or to temporarily realize in a higher momentum that that is something that may drift back into your life at a later time, so to speak. But in this now moment, setting your intention to stay in a clean, clear, concise space of awareness and centeredness, allowing yourself to stay within the heart in a coherent manner will be key in turning the keys in the locks of all of the revealings in order to reveal all of the revealings that you have been asking for, wondering about, or you may be beginning to ask and wonder about. Those things are all turning, and they may come through one at a time, or they may come through all at once. It is different for everyone. So be patient and offer space for others where it might be happening all at once for them. And for you, you just have this beautiful aha that you're in. Offering space is key because this is happening to everybody on different layers and different levels. So we end this sharing, this transmission, this insight, awareness and recognition of all the star seeds that we interact with on a now daily basis. So this is a play on words, which perhaps I'll write up later. But in love and light, we expand these frequencies to you from the aspects of you that are connecting in with us, all sharing these now moments together. And as we connect and link up, we honor you and all that you are. And we continue to ask you to be within the heart frequency and use this as your eyes, your seeing eye dog, so to speak, your guidance system, so that all of your extrasensory capabilities may open and expand from that space. For then they will take on a completely different meaning, and so too will your records that we have been speaking of. So what they're kind of sharing also is that as these Akashic remembrances come into play, but also not just Akash, everything. It really does depend on your view of what you access, how you access it, and really like what kind of reality it creates. So if you're constantly in a place of fear, as you open these records, you're not going to see it necessarily from the same vantage point as you will if you're able to stay in a space of coherence. And coherence doesn't mean bliss, guys. It means just centered. It means kind of connecting the heart and the brain. In heart math, they call it the heart brain, and allowing yourself to think through here first, feel through here. It's not an emotion. An emotion is a result of certain things or a guidance system. It's actually allowing yourself to stay in a space of just compassionate awareness, not a reactive space. And then it's through breathing, and you guys can check out my video on how to tell if you're in the heart versus the head, and I think that'll take you to that site and that link of breathing and what you can do. But what that does is then when these records open, or when you get, let's say there's something that comes out about our real history, people aren't like, oh my God. They're like, that's interesting. That's a different harmony. That's a different place than reaction and the old way of being. And so that's what we're kind of being invited to tap into. Yeah, so I'm going to end on that note. I did not mean for this to go for so long, but in love and light, guys, obviously that's what needed to happen, right? Namaste.